What's up, everybody?
Sup?
It's good to be back.
Bonjour.
Comment allez-vous?
Okay, multicultural in this.
Ça va bien?
Wait, how many languages do you guys know how to say hello in? Bonjour, allo,
Well,
hello,
¿Cómo está?
There's a
hola,
lot.
yeah,
¿Cómo está?
Hola.
Hola.
shalom, right?
Shalom. Yeah, shalom. Wait, no, isn't shalom? Thank you.
I thought shalom was hello and goodbye.
Oh,
Just
yes,
like-
you're right. You're
yeah.
right. You're right.
And in
right.
Hawaiian is what's the one that's hello and goodbye in Hawaiian?
That's
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha,
yeah.
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 There's also ni hao.
Ni hao. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You're bringing some interesting ones because
Yeah.
someone's
There's
someone's traveled a bit.
German is kind of like hallo or guten Tag.
oh yeah.
It's Guten
And then
Tag.
which one is willkommen? Oh no, that's welcome.
Yeah.
But I guess that's agreement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Welcome.
There's like
But-
there's salam, there's namaste.
yes. Yeah.
Namaste.
Yo, Toby's gonna
Yeah.
kill us.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I should have asked this question, making us look mad ignorant. Toby just dropped it like.
I was about to be like, hello's universal, right?
Yeah. Toby's like dropping
I mean,
150 of them.
Technically,
He's just like, bitches, I've traveled this world, motherfucker. Get out of here.
man, I haven't gone to Europe in like a couple of years though. That's
I
the
miss
one
you.
thing that's
Well,
I gotta put it back on my list.
Yeah.
I gotta do something in Europe.
I went to Europe, 2009, I think was the last time.
Oof,
No.
long time ago.
I went to Europe. I went to Barcelona after.
Oh,
That's
that
true.
was the last time I was in Europe. Was Barcelona 2 years ago.
Barcelona was beautiful, man.
I was there for like 10 days.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Oh, that's
I was there for a week.
Yeah,
I was there for
a friend of mine was is a DJ and he tours Europe.
Oh, dope.
So we went out, and he lives in Barcelona, like he's stationed in Barcelona. So we went out there and we just kind of like hung out with them and the locals. That took us everywhere. It was a lot
That's
of fun.
awesome.
Actually, it's kind of nice when you know someone there and they just kind of take you around. And we played like chess in the park. One hilarious story from one of the times we played chess in the park in Barcelona. So we're just chilling. There's like I'm there with Paige and like there's about 6 or 7 of us. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting down playing chess with this guy facing me, and Paige is on my left. I see her head turn to the right, and she sees something, and she goes, "Oh my God, rat!" Right?
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean,
it happened so quickly that like I didn't have a chance to react, but I just moved enough. This massive, big ass rat runs right past me, and I think because I turned and flinched,
it
kind of avoided me,
Yeah.
but ran straight for my friend I was playing chess and ran up his leg over his chest and hopped over him, dude. I have never seen a look of horror in someone's eyes so much. And it touched, like the claw of the rat, like kind of touched his mouth. And dude, we couldn't, like it ran across his face. Like we couldn't. I couldn't believe it happened. Dude, I couldn't believe it happened. B, everyone was in such shock that the only thing we can do was like laugh, but we felt bad that it happened to
That
him.
is so
And,
dirty.
like, that's just like that's a day ruiner, dude. That was one of the
that's
most
gross.
I don't think that'll ever happen again. The way it happened, like it literally decided to instead of
That's
running
so
around,
gross.
it just ran through it
Oh my
so
God.
bad.
so fast too. Like you can't react because they're quick. Just freaking ran up his body and across his face and gone.
I didn't think there was
And
a,
like he ran to a washroom and like washed his face and his mouth. And, like,
Ooh, I didn't think there was a worse of like just like you know when a bird shits on your shoulder because that's like the
Oh,
rat
that's bad.
equivalent
No,
of
this is way worse, to be honest. I'd rather get shit on than have a rat run across my face.
Yo, they say a bird
And
shitting on you is
we're-
good luck.
Exactly. This is probably the worst luck
Yeah,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah.
And like we were supposed to go out that night. Nah, he wasn't down anymore.
He's just like, I've been soiled by the world. I need to just
man.
stay and be clean.
That's too
that was one of the craziest, like, and I'll never forget that. Now I have that forever imprinted in my mind. I saw a rat run across someone's face while I was playing chess. That's
That is
crazy.
so disgusting.
Oh man.
Yeah. I don't want to say his name in case
No,
this
that's
brings
fair.
back
That's fair.
PTSD if he listens to this.
That is 100% fair. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
almost
Thought I'd
threw
share
up.
that.
I
We're just talking
almost-
about Barcelona.
I
That's
almost
too
threw up.
funny.
I love that this started out as like, man, Europe is beautiful. We need to go back, and ended with a rat touched my friend's face, and he felt his night was ruined.
Oh man, but I did win those 2 games of chess. Though.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair.
Mental game.
Yeah.
Wad.
I don't think it's fair to beat someone who's like mentally completely gone.
Oh god.
It's just like
He's like wondering if he has diseases already. You're like, checkmate,
Oh,
bitch.
no. We were playing the third game when it happened.
Oh, okay.
That game was done. There was no one sitting down. We left the park.
I was gonna say, I was just like, my queen just took your king. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. There's a rat in my mouth. Like, you know, like
The Rat King just took my face.
oh shit. All right, well,
man.
guys,
That was great. I like that.
this is
This is about comic books, by the way.
this is That's Canon. We are a bi-weekly geek talk show where we discuss and review comics. We usually do an issue, an arc, or a series. This week we're going to be doing the Magic Order, which is a recently released in our timeline because you guys are listening to this a little bit later. But the Magic Order recently released, and Mark Millar and Olivier Coipel, who worked on this. Olivier, someone who I actually have met multiple times. I used to see him every year at Fan Expo in Toronto, and bumped into him randomly on the street in New York once, which is one of my favorite random moments. It was because I used to go to New York every year for a music festival, a college music festival, and the college music festivals always started the Tuesday after New York Comic Con. So he was in town, and we were both on Fifth Avenue, and I was just like, yo, Olivier, and he's just like, hey man, toi, and then he's from France, so we started talking in French, and it was really cool, and we took a picture, and I always laugh when I think about that.
Oh man, you have your talents deep in the industry. You have this going on. You're influencing into the Spyro.
Yeah, no.
Like, hey,
I didn't influence anything in this one though. I wish I could say that. Like, yeah, I told him about my grandmother once, and then he drew this lady drowning in a taxi. It's just like, it's a little dark, but you know, it's cool that my grandmother. No, you know,
I'll
like,
take it.
But yeah. So you know, Mark Millar is someone that we've covered one. We've done his
A
comic.
few. We did Chrononauts. We did.
True,
Empress.
True. Yes, true. So we're going to be doing the Magic Order this week, and then the next issue is going to be another Mark Millar, Nemesis, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys are in for a treat.
He's got a ton of work out there, this Mark Millar.
Yeah, he's a talented man.
He's
Like,
done good
very,
work.
very talented.
That's why
man.
he keeps coming back.
So we are going to be having a little bit of fun today, because at least I think it's going to be fun. We're going to do the elevator pitch, but I don't know. You know what? I'll save it. I'm not even going to say anything. Let's start with the elevator pitch. Who wants to go first?
Well, we got to do the. Are you going to read the synopsis first?
Oh yeah, true. I have to read the synopsis.
Yes.
I'll get into my. I want to try an accent with this one, guys. You think I should try an accent?
British.
Go for it.
Okay.
I challenge the British.
I imagine that some of the people who are in this one are British, so I'll do my best. We live in a world where we've never seen a monster, and the Magic Order is the reason we sleep safely in our beds. Magic meets the mob in the Magic Order, as 5 families of magicians sworn to protect our world for generations must battle an enemy who's picking them off one by one. By day they live amongst us as neighbors, friends, and co-workers, but by night they are the sorcerers, magicians, and wizards that protect us from the forces of darkness, unless the darkness gets them first. Mark Millar's first Netflix comic book, drawn by the incredible Olivier Coipel, who has worked on The Amazing Spider-Man, Thor, and many other titles.
Okay, so that synopsis is not. Hey, first of all, pretty good job holding onto the accent.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it was gonna fall apart.
I lose it pretty quickly once I start. So that synopsis kind of is lost on me because I wish there was more of what they described.
I know. Okay, wait. Do your elevator pitch first.
Yeah.
Do your elevator
So
pitch.
you're doing the elevator pitch first.
Yeah, elevator pitch first.
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Elevator pitch for the Magic Order. Okay. Imagine the movie Now You See Me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of like, imagine a crew like that.
Yeah.
But they're tasked with protecting the world and defending the world instead of actually looking after their own selfish gains.
Yeah.
But I guess that's pretty much, honestly, and it's hard to explain because I wanted more out of this.
Yeah. Wait, don't get to that part yet, because I definitely have a lot of those comments to make as well. Yeah. And I definitely know exactly where you're coming from, and I think we're gonna have a very good conversation because I think we are all on the same page with this.
Okay.
But yeah.
So imagine the crew from Now You See Me are just in a clan or in an order of sorts, and they're tasked with protecting the world. and betrayal and hilarity. And actually, there's no funniness, hilarity in this. It's kind of like a morose.
Yeah, it's true. I was going to say.
Very morose. Yeah, that's the only elevator pitch I have. I'm not trying to sell this, to be honest.
Well, that's a comment in itself. Okay.
All right. So like, I run to the elevator. Bing, bing. Put my hand in the elevator again to see my boss. I'm like, yo, okay. So I have an idea. He's like, all right. I'm like, what if all the world's problems weren't really the world's problems? It was actually a bunch of magicians and wizards fighting each other the whole time, and they just made this a big mask. And in reality, there's like a specific group of individuals that actually take care of everyone to make sure the world doesn't go to shit, versus any type of like mysterious elements or God knows what. And my boss is like, yeah, that's cool. You're gonna do all that in the first stage? Nah, screw that. I'm gonna focus on the main family that runs this joint.
Yeah.
Called the Magic Order. He's like, all right. And then we're gonna get into the crazy. It's like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into the drama of that family because some shit's gonna happen to one of them. You're not gonna know till the end, but you're gonna be like, yo, man, I feel really bad for this guy, but I know he's like super powerful. He's like, all right, and then it
ends.
It ends.
You know what it's reminiscent of when we'll get to it afterwards, but the guy that you're talking about in the end that kind of does this thing, which again we'll get to.
Yeah.
What's that movie with Michael B. Jordan? One of his first movies where they had superpowers.
Oh, Chronicles,
yeah.
It literally, there was a scene at the end where he's floating in the air and he's like gone mad and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's begging him to stop and stuff. Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You're right. That is like a shot for shot at the. Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
true.
yeah, it's very good. So my elevator pitch. Hey, boss, you got a couple minutes? Okay, I got this idea for you. We have a whole bunch of characters that we're gonna throw in. We're gonna introduce some cool characters, really interesting characters. We're gonna have an escapist who seems to be super cool. We're gonna give her some really cool backstory. We're gonna have some fun flashbacks with her. We're gonna introduce like a brother that we don't even really talk about, that other brother, because there's like her and then the main brother. And then there's the other brother that they barely introduced, and I always thought, man, that's rude. But anyways, so we're going to talk about this other brother just a little bit, not going to give you enough. We're going to talk about an uncle. We're going to keep throwing him in. We're going to keep pointing at the uncle, but you're not going to really understand what's going on. And we're going to have the dad. He's going to seem like he's super important. Then we're going to have the bad guys. They're going to be like really nasty bad people. And we're going to tell this really dark, depressing story. Like the type of thing that once you read it, if you were alone in a dark room, you're going to start thinking, why am I alive? Like you're just going to start questioning your existence. And then we're going to end it really abruptly, and you're going to feel like that was a cheat. That's yeah, and then that will be why we'll have more, because people will really want more, because they're going to be really upset with that ending and they're going to want more. So that way we'll have this comic forever, because we're always going to end it. We're going to build up really cool stories, and we're always going to end it abruptly and poorly. And people are either going to get really mad and stop reading, or they're going to be like, okay, they can't mess it up that bad next time, because they write really great openings, but then just fall short. Like a cliff.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
cliff.
This went by so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I want to know more about this.
I know.
What? How about this? No, wait, where are you going?
Yeah, thank you. So, anyway, okay.
Hey, that's review talk.
So let's get into it, guys. Obviously, we have a lot to say about this one. We won't make it too long for you guys, but if you guys haven't read, this is one of those comics that I will say, if you haven't read it, read it before we do the review, because I want, like, hopefully, because we are going to spoil things. But there's enough of this one that I feel if you haven't read it and we're talking about it, you'll still enjoy, but you're going to be like, okay, I really want to know what you're talking about. And I really want to see what you're talking about, because there's specific things. Yeah. In any case.
And there's a lot of good in it. There's a lot of good in it. It kind of spoils itself actually halfway through. But anyways.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Right now we're going to be going into Judgment Call, which is another segment that we do. Judgment Call. You know what, Dave? I'll let you introduce Judgment Call.
Cool. Well, Judgment Call is a little segment that we do. The tagline would be, we fight for our right for our character to be in the spotlight. It's a moment where we say, for any characters that have been underutilized, not used at all, or just improperly used, to fight for a chance to say why we think they should be basically put up on a pedestal, put up on the main stage, take someone else's spot who's been squandering theirs. So we give each participant, being two of us, one and the third person being the judge, two of us 3 minutes to hash out our reasons why. After we're done, we have a minute each to trash down the other person's character in any way we see fit. Sometimes it gets relatively heated, which is always fun. and then the judge, he makes his call. That's about it. And this week, I think it's me versus Toby.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Good Lord. Yeah, these ones are the ones that I both love but dread because you guys get so intense sometimes.
We don't have a 20-plus year history of a friendship to be soft on each other.
Toby, we haven't known each other 20 years.
Actually, I'd go even harder on you if that was the case.
True. That's true. He's not lying.
Yeah, you guys hold back.
I don't hold back with
Wait,
Toby.
A little.
No, we don't.
I'm just not as aggressive as either of you.
In the rebuttal part, I find you guys hold your punches a little bit.
No.
That's my humble opinion.
I was going to say.
My humble opinion.
I don't feel I've held back. No, it's because the reason, whenever I go against you, the reason I do it is, and I'll finally admit this now, and I'll admit this only once, I really go ham, and it always makes you laugh, and then I like to play up the fact that you're laughing at me, because people can't see it, but I make tons of weird faces at you as I talk, and I like point and intonate like certain ways,
so
and then
true.
you start like cracking up, and I'm like, and then he's laughing at me, Your Honor. So I definitely play that up. I'm not gonna lie.
So many
I have a
times.
lot of fun with it.
I really want this to be recorded live, like video. So many
Yeah, I
times.
might edit this whole part out so you guys will never hear me say this.
Oh God.
That's great. Well, since I guess I think he has more wins this season so far.
I had a roll at the beginning.
Yeah, you
You had a rough season 1, but season 2's been kind of your selections have been prime, I think. I think winner in this case, defender of his belt should go first.
All right.
Unless the judge says otherwise, obviously.
No. By all means, Toby, I think that is very fair, and it's very gentleman of you as you prepare probably a very stellar debate for yourself on your end. I
might have one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, in this corner we have Dave, and Dave, your time begins now.
All right, Your Honor. I'm going to bring on the man who's prideful about his people. He's always had the pride. He wears his pride on his face.
Oh, no.
The one with the big M on his face.
Oh, okay.
I'm bringing up Lucas Bishop.
Oh, okay.
Bishop, the X-Man. So, just a little, I don't know what you're going with that, but, so a little background story, if you will, or history, if you will. He's an energy-absorbing mutant who could absorb radiant energy that allows him to collect energy and throw out blasts and or increases strength or healing, which also makes him almost invulnerable. This type of power also helps him protect himself against telepathic and kinetic energies as well. He's actually the great-grandson of Gateways. His interesting history starts with the fact that he's from the future. He's from concentration camps where humans try to enslave mutants. Upon escaping, he ends up getting raised for a while by a man known as Witness, who you find out eventually is Remy LeBeau, Gambit in our current present. And when Remy is talking to him, he's like, I changed my name to Witness because I witnessed the downfall of the X-Men, which actually makes Bishop think that Remy is the traitor amongst the X-Men who killed the X-Men. He eventually does go back in time to go and fight along the X-Men to explain to him the horrible futures that come around. By doing so, he's been in many interesting story arcs, including Executioner's Song, where he and Wolverine track down Cable, who they believe killed Professor X, and then find out that it's Strife and help take Strife down. He's the person from the Age of Apocalypse series that is the only person who knows what's going on because of his time traveling, and is the one person that convinces Magneto of what's actually going on, which thus then saves that reality, or our reality, because it's actually technically our reality warped. He then, when he comes back, he saves the entire X-Men by taking a blast from Onslaught, which actually, from Onslaught's words, says that he would kill 1,000 mutants with that, and you somehow save them, which then saves the X-Men in their future reality. The interesting twist is that when he goes back to the future, everything's fucked up, which then makes him, again, an interesting twist, makes him the greatest foe against mutants, because he's convinced that Hope Summers is the reason why the future is as it is, and he becomes a nemesis. He then tries to kill her as a child, where Cable and him have a lengthy feud, which is an amazing feud. He takes her on as a baby, as an adult, in many different forms, every time the fight being even more epic than the previous. He's been only known in the animated series. He was horribly done with a fake Idris Elba in the movies. And poor man's Idris Elba, and then too many stories of a man who has been too many interesting stories for a man who's been given too little time, thus never getting his due. Mic drop, Gavelin drop, bam.
All right. So that's 2 minutes 54 seconds. Very good. That was very interesting. Poor man's Idris Elba. I don't know.
No, he said a fake Idris Elba.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I was like, what are you talking about right now?
I know the actor he's talking about too.
I'm saying with how he was looked, how he was maked up, like how he was presented in the film. It's like you wanted Idris Elba. That's. I'm not trying to get extra points. I just wanted to clarify that.
That's fair.
I'm not trying to be like racist or something.
I thought you were talking about the actor that played him from
exactly.
Antushab. What's his name? Omar. What's that guy's name? Anyways, we'll find out later.
Yeah.
Okay, Toby, you ready?
I am.
All right, your time starts now.
This one's a twofer, folks. What does that mean? It means you got two for the price of one. You get two stories side by side happening pretty much sometimes at the same time, and they also happen at separate times. Why? Because this character is made up of two people. Ladies and gentlemen, the first Firestorm was an amalgam of two people, Ronnie Raymond and Martin Stein. Now, to just understand what Firestorm is, I'm just going to tell you a brief little synopsis about how they became to be. Ronnie Raymond was in high school trying to impress a girl, gets humiliated while he's trying to impress this girl by her, I guess, boyfriend, or this guy who was interested in her, the star of the football team, we'll say. And Ronnie, being embarrassed, decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to do something valiant because I know she's into helping the environment and stuff like that. I'm going to go and sign up to be an activist. He signs up for this anti-nuclear activist group led by this guy, Eddie Earhart. And then it turns out that Earhart was actually using this group as a cover-up for his criminal activities. Ronnie tries to stop him. The protests turn violent. The group wants to blow up an experimental nuclear power facility that's designed by Martin Stein. Unfortunately for Martin, he happens to be there the night where they plan to rig the plant to explode. Ronnie tries to stop them, runs in, but he gets knocked unconscious by the group, and they tie him up, leaving him and Martin there to die. Explosion happens, causing an atomic blast, but the explosion that happens actually fused them together, them being Ronnie and Martin, into one. And the one who's Ronnie, who is basically the one physically controlling the body, and the professor kind of acts like the voice of this disembodied head. Ronnie then realizes that the explosion actually gave him massive powers. He has flaming hair. He has the ability to shoot fusion blasts. And just to run through his powers quickly here before my time runs out, rearrange molecular particle structures. He can turn pretty much any substance into anything. The only limitations of the power is that the Firestorm Matrix could only create items whose workings are understood by the person driving the Firestorm Matrix. And the main thing here is that there's a relationship between Martin and Ronnie, these two people who don't know each other, that actually has to develop. Martin actually initially doesn't ever remember being in the Firestorm Matrix. It's Ronnie who only remembers. So there's all these things happening, and Martin finds himself in situations where he doesn't remember being in. He develops an a drinking problem. There's a whole drama there. There's a whole relationship between the two and the bond that they need to actually work these things out to actually understand their powers. There's also stories involving the Justice League. Firestorm actually becomes a JLA member at a certain point. Is that my time? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Firestorm is the shit, and we need more of them.
Well played.
That was good. Okay, that was very interesting. Thank you very much for that. So Firestorm versus Bishop. I think, Dave, you have 1 minute to rebut the claims that Firestorm is the shit. So I will let you start that right now.
Maybe a piece of shit, but anyways. I will start off with this. You need two to have a supporting cast for mine. For yours, you just need one for mine. Yours has already been done in the Flash U. Or Arrow universe, whatever. They did a pretty good job. They actually did a good job. So it's already happened. I know it's not fair to say that it's happened and mine didn't happen, but anyways, I know it was not the proper story. There were certain differences, but whatever. But at the end of the day, although the origin story is super dope, give me a movie, it's done. Bishop could go on forever because he's been around all the timelines. He's been in the future, he's been in the now, he probably has been in the past. There's much more that could be said with my character. Your character, although yes, he's been part of the Justice League, although yes, his power set is pretty cool, he's always been part of the B team. Bishop's been part of Team Gold because he's golden. Boom.
Because he's
what
golden.
A line. What a line.
that tells me nothing.
All right. That was your minute. Toby, are you ready for your minute?
Uh-huh.
Starting now.
Interesting enough, his power is pretty damn passive. He is able to absorb radiant energy. What the hell does that even mean? And create energy blasts? Boring. And he was in a concentration camp. I'm pretty sure we've seen all this before. And you want to talk about someone who's been in all the timelines and can travel in the future and whatever. He had such a minor role in Days of Future Past. And on top of that, he could have been in the Deadpool movie. But guess what? They decided to go with Cable instead of this boring-ass character you're bringing out that has nothing to do with the... Matter of fact, they don't even need him to advance any storyline. This is a refreshing take. My character is actually a character that you have more levels of humanity in. You can actually tell a lot more stories with this character than you can with yours because of the two relationships that you need to build and work on. Your character is shit. His powers are shit. And he really, 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 really sucks.
I love you.
Just using up the time.
You literally used up a minute. Like you said really just to use the minute. I know it's a joke. I'm not supposed to say it, but that is good. I like that. That was good.
I'm not opposed to good combat, sir. It's always fun to spar with Toby. I love sparring with Toby.
I see the clock running down 53, 54, and he said really, really. I'm like, wait, what is he doing? And then 59 sucks. 1. I was like, my God, that's so nasty.
Got my timer going. Yo, but honestly, he's been used a lot too, man. So I don't know what you're talking about. My character was used a lot.
Well, okay, so let's discuss.
I could rebuttal on your rebuttal if you want.
Let's discuss. So you both picked characters that I feel have both seen quite a bit of airtime, comic book wise, television wise, movie wise. They've both been out there and they've been in the public eye. They've both done exceptional things. I'll start with Bishop. Bishop, as you described him, yes, sounds super interesting. I think it'd be super cool to do a story because, the whole time travel thing, going back and forth, different timelines and stuff like that, witnessing things that have happened in history, affecting things that have happened in history, sounds super cool. Toby does make the valid point, though, that we have seen some of that in different characters, and it is a thing they do quite a bit. I mean, funny enough, you countered with your character, Firestorm, who's literally in that story right now, because he was on a show about time travel and affecting history. So it's actually kind of funny you guys pick these characters, because the whole time travel aspect is pertinent to both of them. However, Toby, your character in his comic book doesn't have the time travel aspect.
No,
the Legends is very much a television thing. I do think I'm trying not to think of the television show, but I will. I will point out that one of the things that you pointed out they did do slightly well in the TV show, where they tried to discuss the two sides and why the two sides' lives are affected and stuff like that. And I mean, as a comic book, that does sound interesting to me too. So for me, this comes down to more, do I want to read more about history as it's affected by a character, or do I want to read more about how two people have to manage their lives and at the same time, because it's one, like Luke is one person, he doesn't have to answer to any Bishop, sorry, is one person, doesn't have to answer to anybody to do what he needs to do. Those guys have to answer to each other, because if one's like, I can't do this right now, you know, or you know, you said Martin developed a drinking problem.
Yep.
Like that, to me, is a major part of, I mean, alcoholism is definitely overused. Any kind of addiction is overused in comic books, but the idea that he has to be sober enough to remember the elements and the breakdowns so that Ronnie can actually turn, you know, this rocket into flowers in time is an interesting story to me. And unfortunately for you, Dave, I lean towards...
It's fine.
Only because I like... so, Toby, you are the winner this week. Yeah.
He's got one. I'm
Yeah.
happy to give him this one.
And the reason I'm interested in it is I love Bishop. Bishop seems like a super cool character. It's just that right now Bishop would seem like a Cable clone if they did a movie. He would, and in the comic book, he's had quite a bit of visibility. I mean, he hasn't had a chance to run his own title as much. I think that has more to do with Marvel and not necessarily loving a black time traveling character. Also, it's hard to write a black time traveling character because of I don't know if you've watched
Because of time.
Yeah, I don't know if you've watched Timeless.
Yeah.
But like Timeless, one of the big jokes is that the black guy on Timeless is just like, there is no point in history that's good for me, because he was anything prior to like the civil rights, and even after the civil rights, but anything prior to the civil rights, he's essentially just treated like shit.
There's even a meme I sent you where like two scientists finally break through and create time travel, one black, one white, and the white one's like, let's travel back in time, and the black guy's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's very funny.
and that's the thing. Like, so it would definitely be interesting for a writer at Marvel to write the story of Bishop as he traveled through time and as he affected time. You'd have to lean a lot more in the future than in the past. But if you're writing the past, it would be interesting to see how you write the past, and how is he going to be a slave? Is he going to hide out with slaves? And that's the type of stuff that would be super hard for them to write. And if you don't write him hiding out as a slave during slave times, then as a reader myself, I'd be like, well, that's a cop out, because that factually at that time, yes, you could have free men. It wasn't always easy. You had to have paper. There's so many things that I'm thinking that the writer would have to take into consideration.
It'd have to be ninja styles, in my opinion.
Yeah, they'd have. Yeah, I mean, yes, Black Ops style.
Yeah.
In the darkness, trying not to be seen and stuff would be interesting and probably better.
And like this one, you can explore the power struggles. Like they both have the ability to summon the Firestorm Matrix, right? So like one guy.
But don't they have to be like do the
fusion.
No, they don't have to do a fusion. No,
He's doing the Dragon Ball
I
fusion.
can't remember the
Actually,
words,
no.
so I was like,
It's pretty
They
funny.
actually don't. Like one person can summon the Firestorm Matrix and force the other person to actually be a part of it.
so like one could
How
be having
far-
sex or be on a date and like
How far away
Yeah.
do they have to be? Like,
sucks.
do they have to be within a certain proximity?
That's a good question. I don't think that matters, to be honest.
Okay, so see, these are all things that I feel as a writer you could explore. Like if
Exactly.
like if Martin is a professor and he's supposed to talk at a school, and Ronnie's here and there's like something happening and they're being attacked, can he just call the Matrix? Does Martin get pulled away? Is Martin drunk at a bar? Like, so I find so many interesting stories that could be told
he's
from a
actually
human
been-
perspective.
There actually has been storylines where he's been intoxicated and being a part of the Firestorm Matrix, and that messes with Ronnie's like sort of ability to control the whole situation, right? So there's just a lot of dynamic things and things that you can explore that are different from usual comic book tropes.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. And I think it's the type of show that if you wanted to do it well, it's the type of show DC Universe could do, because I've seen what DC
it
Universe
could be in the Titans universe easily.
Yeah, DC Universe has been doing Doom Patrol really well. They've gone way darker than you expect. They've been super interesting with the stories and the way they've been writing. And if you had something like that, like a Carver, maybe not Carver, Jeremy Carver, who's one of the writers and producers for Doom Patrol and worked on Supernatural, so you can kind of get that sense of humor. But someone like him or him working on something like Firestorm, where you have two characters, almost like a Sam and Dean-esque relationship, or one's like the straight edge, which would be the Martin, but then the straight edge becomes the alcoholic. Like I find that could be an interesting show. So
Yeah, and like at some point Ronnie, I forget why, but develops like leukemia, like obviously a form of cancer, and then it like it's anyway. There's a lot. There's a lot to be told here.
I just have two things to say. One, Toby, congrats on your first win of the season.
Is it your first one of the season?
That was
think so.
was like a backhanded compliment.
No, it was. No, because it's going to follow up with this. I hope you take on Dog because I want round 2. So you better bring your A game. You have to bring your A game at least twice in a row.
All right, I got this.
All right, guys. So that was our judgment call. If you guys have differing opinions, you can always leave your comments below in this post, or on the Instagram or on the YouTube. We will be posting all of these on YouTube at some point. Right now, the episodes are not on YouTube, but I was actually looking at it the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I should start just making these also videos and post them up on YouTube. So I'm going to be doing that. It's actually a really quick transfer now. I found a tool that does it very easily. All right, so we're going to be going into our next segment. This is the discussion. Once again, we will be discussing this very interesting comic book title. This is The Magic Order, Mark Millar, Olivier Coipel. And it came out recently. This is a very recent title. I think it only just finished. It started in June 2018, but only just finished in February of 2019. There's only 6 issues, and yeah, let's jump into it.
Man, why are there only 6 issues? Why did he rush this?
So,
was it because of his order? Was it because of the Netflix order? Like, is this just a sort of I was gonna say pilot script?
Yeah,
but it's not. It's kind of like, here's how you should tell the story. Everything he kind of tells you how it should start, how it should end, because everything in between happens so fast. And I think like he's pretty much laying out a guideline for how maybe 6 seasons should go, because this feels like this should have been at least like a longer run than 6 issues.
Yeah. Well, let's start with first. I think the first thing we need to address is what Toby, you said earlier, how the description didn't really match what we read. So the first thing, I at no point understood that there were 5 families.
No.
Never did I. When it starts,
I knew there was at least 2.
Yeah. I thought there were only 2 families. The fact that I just read that now as 5 families of magicians sworn to protect the world for generations. Were there?
There was a time. There was one point where they go back in time and you see Cordelia, who's like the little minx.
Cordelia's the escapist.
Yeah, she's also the rebel magician, if you will.
Yes.
She goes back in time and you see them talking about, I think, World War I or World War II. I believe there were 5 people there, which
on the hill.
may have suggested that they were all ahead of the family at that time.
But like, what are the families? Like,
Yeah.
there's
No, but
obviously
I agree. There's
Madame
no
Albany. But like, what's the name of her family? 'Cause the only family I know of is the Moonstones.
Yeah.
No, they don't. It's very subtle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not. What's the word? There's no ever recap with this one. Like even usually Mark Millar has like a little summary at the beginning of each comic book to like say what happened in the last one.
Yeah.
To sometimes give you little tidbits of stuff that were like, maybe you missed this when you were reading. This one didn't have that. This one was straight to the point, which was kind of good. Like the one thing that was fun about the comic book in general, it was a nice, fun, easy read. It usually happens when there's no real thought bubbles going on, which there wasn't a lot in this.
Well, you didn't even have time for a thought bubble, because
that's true.
People were dying way too quick. As soon as you're introduced to a character, they die in like 2 pages, and you're like, "Whoa, this guy actually did seem kind of cool." Like, I wonder how he got in this position. So I think what I don't want to happen to Mark Millar, and I think is going to start happening now with everything that he's writing for Netflix and stuff like that, is that he's just going to be writing 6-issue runs to start a story and end a story, and then allow whoever the writers are going to be on Netflix to sort of flesh out what each character is and hopefully give the important characters a voice, because I did not get that at all from this.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, what's her name? The daughter that ends up sort of being the only one at the end there.
Cordelia. Yeah. She was my favorite.
Out of nowhere becomes a primary character, to be honest, because
she was a sleeper, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really understand her importance up until like the end.
It's funny you guys say that. For me, she was a main character the whole time, but only because I liked her. I liked her so much that I was waiting for her to show up. And when it came down to the end and she was the only one, I was just like, well, you guys did say she's a escapologist, so I expected that the escape at the end would be something she figures out.
Oh, agreed.
My only concern, though, is, and we're jumping ahead if I say this, but the fact that she solves the issue by just being like, I'm a rebel. Of course I did the thing I wasn't supposed to do that saves everybody at the last second. Snap, everything's done.
It's not even that she came up with this on her own, because she read this book, and I forget the name of the book right now. That's what she wasn't supposed to read.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah. No, I can find it, but
Well, so I was going to
find the name of it. But she reads this book, obviously, and I guess at some point in her teenage years or adulthood, her dad finds out that she's read the book.
Yeah.
And her dad and her made this plan. Hey, if I die, I need you to use this to bring me back, because someone's going to be trying to take. It's almost like it wasn't her idea anyway. The way at the end,
no, because it was his trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, he had this trick up his sleeve to use his daughter's knowledge, so she doesn't even really get the credit for coming up with anything, really, at the end of the day.
Because just to give people who are just tuning in, so one thing about this book, just to give a bit of recap, so we know that there's 5 families, and then there's basically an
No,
assassin.
we don't know there's 5 families.
Okay, so
That's
we
the
know
major problem.
correct. We know we know that wizards exist.
All the summaries say there are 5 families, and when you read it, you will literally only hear about the Moonstones, and then the other girl who I thought was part of the Moonstone family, but seems she was the daughter of another family this entire time. I didn't understand. Anyway, sorry.
No, but
continue.
all I was gonna say is that you see there's an assassin killing off wizards. You find out it's at least 2 families are involved: the Moonstones and the Albany family. Because I don't know if they even say her last name. And you find out that this girl Albany, her dad was in charge of like this book, the equivalent of like the Necronomicon in Army of Darkness lore, if you will, that has all the spells you're not supposed to use, like bringing people back to life.
Yeah. So the book was called the Orichalcum, Orichalcum, Orichalcum.
I'm not reading that.
Sounds like the Vademecum from the Order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And basically, this crazy S&M looking girl wants her birthright back, being this book, but her father was like, I can't trust you, bitch, so I'm giving it to the Moonstones. And then it's her assassin trying to kill everyone so she can get her book back. That's the premise of the book. The story.
I think what's important is we'll get into the family and tell the story a little bit fleshed out here. But I do want to tell you guys what Mark Millar described the Magic Order as.
Okay.
And let's see if that matches anything that we read or understand about it. So he described the Magic Order as the Sopranos meets Harry Potter.
No.
A magical fantasy crime. Millar has said that he rationalized the fact that there were no monsters around by believing that there are people out there that deal with them before we notice, which, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
The comics will look like the Sopranos in that their underworld lives live alongside the real ones. And the basic structure of the comics as King Lear, but with magic wands. He might have shot a little too high by saying
maybe through issues 7 to 12,
right? If they existed, but none of the things he said actually, not none, but at least 80% of what he just said here doesn't match the actual story that we read, which is what again makes me believe that that's his intention. And this is sort of just like a guideline, like a storyboard for whoever's going to be writing for the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah. Honestly, Mark Millar is such a good, like, when you read Chrononauts and the detail.
I still love that.
I reread Chrononauts like once a month.
I love that book.
Chrononauts, like, when you read that and you see the detail that he put into it and the thought he put into it and the whole, like, wild adventure, and you read this, don't get me wrong, this is good.
It's still good. Like, we're hating on it a bit. But it's out of love.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not hating on it because we expect more from him.
We're being critical.
We want more.
Yeah, we're being critical because we know that Mark Millar is an excellent writer. So when you read this, and I agree with Toby, it really does feel like, oh, I got signed to Netflix. Netflix wants me to pop out something. Here's this draft that I was working on for something. Let's pop that out. Let's make this the first one. And, it's in a short window after they announced that they bought me. Like, they bought Millarworld, and this came out, they bought Millarworld at the beginning of 2018 maybe, or end of 2017, and then by June this is coming out with even like Netflix supported ads and everything. So I actually thought it was going to come on a Netflix imprint. It ended up coming out on Image. I was a little confused about that, but all that to say,
makes me worried about the other imprint. The other ones come like Prodigy, for example, another one that he's writing. I feel it's going to be along the same lines. Just rush a bunch of content into 6 issues. Here's your script.
Yeah, I've been reading Prodigy. I mean, I personally don't love it so far, but it's not finished. Yeah, the first 2 issues are out, maybe. Okay. All this to say, sorry.
I was going to say the last issue of this one only came out in February 6th, like literally just last month.
Yeah.
For those listening, we're doing this in March 2019. So. Yeah.
So my take on it is, and everything you said I agree with. I think the characters were super. I really loved, like I said, Cordelia was my favorite character.
So let's talk about the Moonstone family. How about that?
Yeah.
Like their whole role in this.
Okay, so I'll start with. I know I probably shouldn't start with her, but she is one of the first ones you meet, Cordelia.
Yep.
I genuinely loved Cordelia as a character because Cordelia is stereotypical misunderstood black sheep of a family.
Definitely.
The only thing is she's the black sheep of a magic family, so it makes it even weirder when you're the black sheep. Her backstory is that her first escape was when she escaped her mother's womb and
that was intense.
Jumped into the womb of the nurse or the doctor in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then that doctor was 5 months pregnant all of a sudden
Like,
and carried her
instantly.
to term, and then
3 months to term.
yeah, and you're like, and I'm like, what the are you talking about? Like, I was reading that and I was just like, and then the next panel is her doing a stunt at school, and like my other favorite character in this is just the little boy who throws the fire into the oil bin.
Yeah.
Like this kid is like the best, like the fiery pit of death, ladies and gentlemen, throws a match. Like the fact that these are things that were happening as kids at a school. Olivier Coipel, you can see that he really enjoyed drawing this stuff.
For sure.
That he really went into detail, the shadowing. So Cordelia, everything about her and the art around her, amazing.
The best part about that, though, because like you're basically telling her, she's like you could tell that she's explaining this story to the reader, and you're like,
Yes.
okay, cool. But then you figure out who she's explaining it to, and she's in front of a birthday party, and she's
kids.
basically getting arrested. And the second she gets actually arrested, she vanishes and escapes. I'm like, man, this girl's got problems.
Oh, yeah.
I really relate to
Yeah.
you though on a lot of other the aspects, except for that part.
But then, so that's my problem though. You get so much about Cordelia. I love Cordelia. I love everything about Cordelia. Then Regan, the other brother.
Regan,
Regan and his nightclub get shit all.
What I don't like, I feel like that was like, and I don't want to be mean or stereotypical or whatever. I feel like he was a flash in the pan just to say, oh, you know how sometimes you have a TV show and like, oh, we have to have the African American, we have to have that, we have to have this type of person, we have to have this type of
you have the
person
tokens.
to have all the tokens. He was the gay guy. That's all he was.
Is he even gay?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He keeps calling his boyfriend.
Call my boyfriend.
Yeah, there's like
Okay.
more than once that they make a reference to it, and then he ends up taking care of the son at the end, or the daughter at the end, which makes sense because technically he can't have one of his own, like physically, but it's still part of the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my major problem with that whole idea is, like, they pass it by so fast.
Oh yeah, no, it's almost forgettable.
Everything is done so fast. Like Toby, you were talking about how you meet them in one issue and they die in the next. The black guy who's a magician, who's at the table, who's like a delivery guy,
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, you
That's
forget.
what I mean.
Yeah, so you have a black guy. He lives in Los Angeles because they have that big meeting in issue 2.
Yeah.
Where they
I
go,
think so, yeah.
they have that big meeting in issue 2. I guess these are the 5 families. Now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, I guess they do technically show 5 families, but it wasn't clear to me
show
that
5 people. They don't necessarily suggest that they're all not related.
Yeah, like I read that and I was just like, okay, you guys are just having a meeting with like powerful people who are, on
The
this
heads of the
committee.
council.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
I didn't know they were
nothing-
families or anything. But anyways, you have this black dude. I don't remember the black
UPS driver.
dude. Yeah, he looks like a UPS driver, and then he dies by getting his picture taken, and he gets like stuck in a photo.
Which you 2 pages after you see him, by the way.
Yeah, they have a soul camera, which
Yeah.
Madame Albany, who's the evil person here, kind of takes it from where the reliquary, which is where all the magic relics. They don't say that's the reliquary. I'm just telling you what it is. It's called a reliquary, where all the magical artifacts dwell. And she stole the soul camera from there, and that's what she used to kill this guy.
Yeah.
She took a picture of him, and he becomes trapped in the Polaroid.
And then they crush it.
Squish or you cut the Polaroid, whoever's in it dies. So that's how he dies.
And the
But yeah,
Venetian.
his death was just insignificant as well.
Yeah.
Insignificant as well, yeah.
I also hate that the villain is called the Venetian. I was like, I mean, not that it. I don't know why. I just like
it was very Assassin's Creed like.
yeah. He looks like a weird British pirate from the like days of the Pirates in the Caribbean. And like,
what's funny about his look is that so there's a Netflix, which is, again, we talked about this before we went live, so I'll touch on it real quick. Netflix has a show right now called The Order.
Yeah.
And then they have this book by Mark Millar that's, I guess,
The Magic Order. Yeah.
It's called The Magic Order, so I don't know how they're going to differentiate the two. But the look of the Venetian, with the mask and everything, the Order in the Netflix show, this is what they wear.
Oh, really?
Gosh.
Yeah, so
man.
it's interesting. That's why I saw this. I'm like, this is also going to be a Netflix thing. How are they going to separate the two? And also, you have to change the name. You can't have the Order and then the Magic Order, and you can't link both worlds, right? Because they're not in the same universe. Anyway, it just didn't make any sense to me.
But so I will point out the fact that, like Toby was saying, like we were all saying, this thing moves a little too fast. Issue 1, you introduce characters. Issue 2, you introduce the council, and by the end of issue 2, 3 of them have died. from the council.
Like,
I thought that was a little too fast, and I realized the reason they were killing them off so fast is because if you're going to do the big bad by issue 6, you have to kill off
you have to go fast.
the rest of the team. But man, like it was like if you read issue 2, issue 2 I read twice because I really was like, oh wow, I'm done this issue already. All I saw was death. I reread it and I was just like, okay, they have the meeting. This guy dies. This woman dies. And then by the end of it, you go after this last one.
But for me,
and as the people are dying, you have the head of the order, magic order, Edward Moonstone.
Yeah.
And he's trying to rally his kids to kind of come back in because they're all off doing their own things. He's trying to get them back to help fight this evil that's going along. And then he has this one son, Gabriel, who left the magic order a while ago because his daughter, I guess everyone's pretty open with their families in terms of their powers and abilities.
Yeah.
Which is another thing in the Order, the Netflix show. The main guy is also the same way. Like his son, who's like maybe 10 years old, knows about like the Order and magic and all these things, and he actually also gets into similar trouble where he goes. So in this story, his daughter goes in the attic and she has her little. She's like maybe 5 or 6. I can't remember how old.
She's with her friend.
But she's bringing her friends in. She's like, "Oh, my dad's a wizard and he has a wand," and she's taking them into his office to show off his wand and. She touches it, and I guess she dies, or all 3 of them die by touching it.
And that was
right?
She sets off a lightning bolt by she does something wrong that sets off a lightning bolt that like makes the wand a conductor, and they get hit.
And that is the biggest commentary on locking away weapons and gun control I've ever seen in my life in a comic book.
Which was really good. Honestly, that was a well done moment. But one thing I wanted to touch on just quickly about the pace, I don't necessarily think the actual pace of the comic book was bad. It was just what you decided to do with that. Like there's certain I thought how things were going were good, but the fact of you trying to create longevity potentially with this book, and create don't introduce me if you're going to do this pace. Don't introduce me to a character that might be important just to take them away.
Yeah,
that was the problem. That was the real problem with because again, example, I like the pacing of everything, but it was just like. Don't give me a character that's useless. Keep to the main 4 then, or the main 5, or because it's the 4 in the family. You have the uncle that's trapped in the
Uncle Edgar.
Edgar's in
favorite, second favorite character
because it's Leonard the father, and then you have Is it Edward or is it Leonard? I thought it was Leonard.
I don't remember.
But then you have Albany.
Oh, no, you're right. It is Leonard.
You have the assassin, and then you have the chick. Sure, you need to have some people around, but don't show me somebody. Have them say something that sounds really important and cool, and then just
kill them.
It's just like the older black lady who died in the taxi.
Yeah,
she looked how she was talking, her stance. I'm like, you look like you're like this old lady that in reality
she's on the cover.
You're gonna destroy shit. She's
look like on the cover. When I saw her in the taxi and the taxi's filling up, I was just like, "Oh, we're gonna see some shit now."
Yeah,
and
I expected that taxi to explode and her to be like, "Who the fuck just did that?"
Yeah, that's the thing. Like they made it seem like all these magicians are so powerful, and don't get me wrong, obviously the Venetian and Madame Albany are very powerful.
And it makes sense when you find out who the Venetian is. Because I want to speak about.
Oh, that's actually why I wanted to finish with Gabriel for a second.
Okay.
So after his daughter dies, he actually feels all this guilt, and that's what made him quit the order, the magic order. I keep saying the order because you might as well.
Yeah.
And pretty much, no one can convince him to come back, apparently. And you kind of get little hints as to why his dad wants him to come back so desperately. He's like, "You've always had so much promise and potential. You're stronger than I am. You just need to hone your skills, blah, blah, blah," right? But he just would never come back because, again, my daughter died. That's the only thing that matters to me. My wife is super sick now, and she has fibromyalgia. I have to take care of her. I'm not coming back. This is not the life for me. And then, obviously, we don't really get much more than that aside from a dad who's in pain from losing his daughter. And then with the Madame Albany, she has this Venetian who's, this super powerful assassin that she has doing all her bidding for her. And this assassin, the reason why so you guys are talking about we're introduced to these potentially powerful wizards, but they're just killed off so quickly. And then we do get an explanation as to why they're killed off so quickly, but at least put up a fight because they don't really get a chance to put up a fight.
None of them.
The part I had a problem with too.
But
it's like he trumps them immediately, and you're like, how can this stranger, how could you've never heard of this guy before?
Which makes sense
when
as
the
a
reveal.
setup, But when you're reading it, it's actually super frustrating that you've introduced me to the Magic Order. These people are supposed to be so powerful, and these very powerful people can't seem to pull their shit together for 2 seconds to defend themselves. Guys, you know you're being hunted. You don't have any wards up. I mean, I know I'm talking about other realities and other different universes with magic, but
strength in numbers.
Yeah,
stick together.
Stick together, have wards up, have something to protect yourself. You guys know someone's hunting you. One guy, the beginning of the story starts with a funeral because one of the guys is killed because his kid is used to stab him through the head with a knife.
Dope, though.
It's a super crazy
great
way to kill a character. It was well done. It's very interesting. The whole idea of and the fact that the idea is the house is protected. Well, how are you getting in? Oh, well, there's one way to break in, and because once again, children are usually easily influenced. That's a conversation we were having before the show started. We were talking about children and parents and adult figures and whatnot. In the story, the idea that a child was the weakness in the home because a child's mind can be manipulated, and that the Venetian used the child to go and walk in, and then, the other one's just like, are you sure they won't hear him? It's just like, I'm not even on the floor anymore. Yeah, because the child's light, the child had the knife, the child was crawling on the bed, stabs the dad right through the throat, up through the head, from the bottom of the jaw up through the top of the head.
Yeah,
it's such a gruesome shot. But the art, Coipel, I don't know what you were on, but you did it. You did an amazing job there. It's so detailed, but it's also this kind of sense of, good God, this is crazy. And I get that the Venetian is that powerful. But then once that happened, like Toby said, strength in numbers, stick together. Why are you guys going about your regular day? You know how dangerous it is. You know how if they get the book, you know how dangerous the situation is. I know you guys are magicians, guys. For God's sakes, make magical clones of yourselves and send them out if you have to.
Well, for me, the first three deaths made sense to me. One being the first one that you see.
Wait, the ones after the meeting, or the first death, the guy in the bed?
There's the first one that's the guy in the bed. That makes sense because
yes,
they don't have any idea what's going on at that point. It's some random guy sleeping, right?
Start the chaos, yeah.
Yes.
You have at one point where they're trying to figure things out. They know that something's weird, and then this guy who's helping a girl who's not. He's preoccupied with trying to save the life of this girl who's dying from a disease or something because her son gets him and he's like, oh, you gotta save my grandma or my mom. I don't know what it is because she's really, really old. And while he's concentrating on that, it's the son beside. He's like, hey, that book didn't used to be there. Hey, that's not there. Why did the carpet just change colors? And while he's already preoccupied, he's like, holy shit, we're in a change spell. This is a trap. Your mom's the bait. Holy shit. And by the time he's done figuring it out.
Is that the end of the first issue?
It's second issue, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's in the second issue. It's really cool because you see the guy realizing as he's going on, he's like, I'm so preoccupied with something, but that's the trap. Then it happens, and then they have the actual meeting where what's going on, and then the guy, the black UPS guy, he's taken out by apparently this really super magical weapon.
Soul camera, like Toby was saying.
Up at that point, cool, but now you all know that he's powerful. You all know he has super dope weapons.
Yeah,
exactly what you guys are saying. Why isn't it numbers? Why aren't you taking things out?
That's fair. If you wanted to fast pace the first three to really emphasize.
Before that, there's also the guy who dies by being trapped in a mirror.
That happens after what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. It happens. It happens right after because he's the last guy they go to before they actually start going after the Moonstones.
Yeah, but I think you're wrong about the order of the guy because the guy in the house I think is actually after the UPS guys and stuff because the guy in the house folding over isn't an issue too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the UPS guy, then the old lady in the car, and then the guy in the mirror.
Yeah. So by the time you get to your point's still right though.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the UPS guy, the woman it seems like it happens simultaneously though, which is the one problem. That's the other problem.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, but because he's on the West Coast in Los Angeles. UPS guy gets taken. Then the next page is New York City. It's late at night, which would make sense. New York is East Coast, 3 hours ahead. But she's in a cab. And there's.
It happens at the end of issue 1. So 2 deaths happen in issue 1. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Okay. So she's in the cab. The cab starts to fill up. It's at that point. So let's say you are right. The first murder is the guy. The second one is the house. The everything folding in on itself. by the time you get to the UPS guy, she should not be in her cab. Mind you, like I said, it does look like it's supposed to be supposedly happening.
It can't be simultaneous because the Venetian is behind all of it.
Yeah, but maybe he's using portals also.
That's possible,
but
because
that's the thing.
he does have that hemoglobin thing that makes him have at least 2 of his. Like you find that when he's fighting Leonard, there's 2 of him, right? There's the one pointing, he's like flying and he's pointing, and then he has a second hologram of himself right beside him pointing to his head.
But that's
possible. But again, that's a lot of ifs and buts.
Exactly. That's the thing. If you are going to write a story and you realize you can't give us every angle so that it is clear to us, I can fill in stuff for myself. I shouldn't have to, though, in the comic book, because if I start filling in things for myself, then I can fill in anything for myself.
Why am I not writing the comic book?
You're writing the story, and you're supposed to. Yes, I can use my imagination a little bit to assume this, that, and the other thing. But if you show me the Venetian killing someone in Los Angeles and then the Venetian killing someone in New York, I'm the one that's figuring out that he possibly can go through portals. Because if he's not going through portals, let's say it doesn't happen simultaneously, then I'm still angry because the woman, the older woman, Edith, the librarian, should not have been alone at that point. Because by
or at least have her wand in her or a magical device on her at all, like. Put a spell on yourself for protection. And how can she not make herself breathe in water?
They all have wands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very puzzling to me that you don't have that at your ready. Like, if this is something that is the main source of your powers, I would keep it nearby at all times. Harry Potter, they always have the wands like in a freaking holster, ready to go. And if you want to compare this to Harry Potter, the main similarity, I actually see what Harry Potter is the wands.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Fantastic Beasts, they are supposed to move through society like that order in the Fantastic Beasts does. Whereas like they clean up messes, wipe memories. It's the same concept. They protect the main human realm, the Muggle realm, from all these dark energies and dark powers.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is the fact that you actually don't. It's just not properly or well executed, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that portion of it, but I could see where he got the idea from. It's literally that.
And then,
I'm sorry, I have to say this one more time. How does she not just say, "I'm going to breathe underwater now"? Like that's the thing that always bothered me. Like, so you're trapped in a taxi.
Because she doesn't have her wand.
No, but like, come on. Like, I would assume we're not magicians. We don't. Obviously, this is a fake reality. But I feel like that's like Magician 101. Like if we had to do like a book,
can I breathe underwater?
Yeah, like that should be like no wand. Like I should be able to snap my fingers and be able to do that. I should be able to take a toothpick out and like, you know.
I love the image of a toothpick being your wand. You're just like, don't got my wand, but I got a toothpick.
Actually, you know what? That's a lie. She does take her wand out of her purse, but she tries to blow the doors open with it, and it doesn't work.
Instead of tapping her neck and putting gills on.
That's like airplane 101. Like, you know, you put on your mask first, and then you do shit to save people.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So
and it's funny that we bring this up because then it makes me think of the show The Magicians, because the show The Magicians is, I don't know if you guys have ever watched it. There's also a book.
Not yet.
I've talked about the show and the book on the podcast before when we did Geektastic Cypher. It was the one where I said Lev Grossman, the author, described the girl's chest as like her luscious something boobs, and we're like, Jesus, you gross, creepy bastard. Like, I have not read the book since then. So if you guys go back to Geektastic Cypher and you hear me talking about the Magician's, Lev Grossman's actual book, you'll hear me describe how disgusted I am by this filthy old man writing about a girl's bosoms like he's a 5-year-old boy. Anyways, but that show, funny enough, is the mix, I feel like, is the perfect mix between this comic and Harry Potter, because the show is about people like the characters in the comic book, but it's set in a world where they're in a school at Braybills. And that's the thing that's cool. Like, so, you know, if I was to do the stages, it would be like Harry Potter, the Magicians, the Magic Order. And then the Magic Order is the one where I'd be the most excited, because now they're not in the school, they're in the real world, shit can get crazy, and instead of shit getting crazy, we just keep seeing people knocked off, and I'm so annoyed about that.
What I was annoyed about is how, when it came to, like, the progression, right?
Yeah.
Since we didn't know about certain characters, like, okay, this guy died, this girl died, okay, I'm shocked about the taxi.
Yeah.
But when Leonard dies, I was surprised because that felt like it was nothing.
It felt like it was nothing considering his level of power, and you're just like, oh, okay, so now we're left with Cordelia and Edgar.
And Reagan. You still have Reagan at that point. Because Reagan,
Who's Reagan?
her gay brother, who they
sorry.
don't.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who's
Edgar
the token wizard in this, which kind of upset me because I'm like,
but he's also the
like
character
you just
that,
did it just to have a placement, and I don't appreciate
they
that.
also did it as
I have nothing against the character being.
It's just that he's also the character who's just sitting there, just in the background. Like, he's on the cover of issue 5 blowing his brains out, and I remember thinking as I was reading issue 5, wait, who's on the cover? And then, and then remembering as I went along.
I was like, that's not Gabriel's haircut. I'm like, oh,
yeah, exactly. Right? Because essentially Regan just looks like Gabriel with longer hair, which makes sense. They're brothers, but like as you're reading it, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I know. And then they pretty much, because their dad's dead, try to recruit their brother to come join them now because they need extra help. Again, he refuses. And then, obviously, the setup here is now Gabriel is they're going to go after him and his wife, right? And in order to kind of like have a motivation for him to join, which is kind of predictable, obviously. In my opinion, I don't know about you guys, to have him join the order. The twist is the twist.
That was something I was always expecting, though.
Yeah, I knew he was
the second you read the first one, he's like, "You're the most powerful one." Yeah. Oh, but it's like cocaine, and I don't want cocaine anymore. And you're like, yeah, you're gonna come back. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna come back. Everyone's dying. Obviously, you're gonna join.
I hope if you ever addicted to coke, you don't go back. But
well, no, but I was trying to say because it was like he was addicted to something, and the addiction took away.
You could use coffee. This would jump into cocaine.
Hell of a drug.
The consequences of having that addiction or those abilities were too strong for him to want to come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that. I mean, I think Gabriel really stood his ground for a long time with "I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back." I think that once you find out the twist at the end, it is. I want to applaud. I want to applaud the acting because it's like it's so good that you act so well that I'm disinterested with this whole concept of magic now. It is beneath me. I've lost too much to it. Like I'm just picturing like the stage.
There's also like I don't know who. So I'm gonna try to explain this as best as I can because I'm not sure who Millar was trying to fool with this. Yeah. But so everyone's dead at this point. Now it's just you, the reader, and Gabriel in the car. Yeah. Right? Gabriel's driving down the street talking to his wife on the phone, and she's talking about making dinner and stuff like that. And then there's this girl that appears on the street in front of him while he's driving. He gets out the car, goes to see her, and then it turns out that, like, she's part of this. I forget what she was again, but she turns. What was it?
She's a young kid turning older and older and older, and he finds out that it's the monster.
It's a time monster that's kind of like
that's coming after him.
It's a soul, a life eater. That's
but that is a huge ruse.
Yeah, to fool
everyone else. Yeah. When there's no one else around.
No, I got that because technically. So I mean, I guess I'm just gonna spoil this for the readers now. So super spoiler.
Wait. Guys. Once again, this is one of those things we've already hinted at it. But if you haven't read this one and you genuinely want to read this one, if you haven't read this one and you're genuinely interested in reading this one,
stop right now
because this
read it quickly and come back.
It's a really good read. Yeah. Really good read. Yeah, and you guys might have the same points that we were talking about before.
Come back in like an hour or whatever after you've read it, and then listen to the rest. But so the Venetian ends up being Gabriel. So with what my perception about this is that the reason why he does that ruse, because I asked the same question. Think about his situation. He doesn't know when any of the family is going to come and ask him to join again. He has to make it look like he genuinely wants to join again. And because they're magicians, they could potentially replay like a camera what's been going on. That, and again, that's a stretch.
But I also hate it.
I know, I know.
Because once again, this is us filling in what we expect.
I completely agree.
Because Toby's right. Like, when I was reading it and you saw that scene, and then you find out that at the end, Gabriel's a Venetian, and you're just like, wait, I don't understand. So Gabriel was the one that sent a monster after his own family, even though, because his wife is in on it.
Yeah.
But the thing is this.
So like, why did you do all this?
When I got to issue 5 and I found that out, I stopped reading immediately and I went back to all his scenes.
Okay.
And I went back to all the scenes of the Venetian because it already bothered me. I'm like, okay, how he talked as the Venetian to other people, I'm cool with. It was very well, but it was him as his self that was bothering me. he did a really good job. The only things that did not make any sense to me, first of all, it was good smokes and mirrors. The only thing that made the hint was him constantly saying, I don't want to be here because I miss my daughter, and you find out everything was because of his daughter. Cool. But the things that fell, the fact that he took on this like giant, like almost the size of the moon, life sucking demon in like a minute. He actually says, I only need a minute, and he captures him right off the bat. You're like, that's too convenient. And then,
but it's almost like, is this really how powerful he is? Then yeah, he can take on the Venetian.
Exactly, but like you realize, right? Like if you go in hindsight, you're like, okay, now I know it's because he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that threw me off, and it even threw me off when I was before I found out the reveal, when he just trashes the dude's car when they're trying to get the information from the guy.
Yeah, Angus. Yeah, they revealed that he is way more powerful than anyone.
But when they did that, I'm like, that doesn't seem all that Gabriel, like, based off of everything. Like, that to me was the hint, like,
that's fair.
Something's not right.
0 to 100.
And it made me, like, think, you know?
Yeah, if you're like, I don't want to do magic, I don't want to be part of that life, and then immediately you jump in and you start whipping cars around, you throw the book, quote unquote, throw the book at him, you hit him with Robinson Crusoe, you have him aging super fast, which is kind of nasty because you just saw a kid dying from aging super fast. Like, I agree with you that it's kind of a weird thing to be like, oh, you know, on one side, I don't want to do magic. On the other side, I seem really angry and eager to jump in. And then he uses the excuse of, they came after my family. Bitch, you came after your family. You came after yourself. Like, what the fuck?
But the other thing is, like, they were telling him that already. But it's like, oh, no, because he came specifically after my wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, like, even, like, let's say you're Reagan and Cordelia talking. I would kind of be like, you look a little, he's pretty tensed up all. So is that how he is all the time?
You know, something else that's stupid about this is if he's really that powerful, he didn't really need all that to take out his sister and the brother. He could have taken them out so much quicker than this.
Yeah.
He could have done everything in a night.
While he was right next to them.
Also,
then just end it right there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is us more looking at the universe than the writing, but I would have taken out the sister and the brother earlier.
I would have taken out the sister first.
Yeah, like I know
I
know my sister's an escapologist. She's and like it's why would you underestimate your like you grew up with this girl. You've seen what she can do.
Off guard.
Like that's weird that you would think like, I'll save you for last because you're the laziest. No, Nick, she was not the laziest. Like she is definitely not the laziest. She might seem like she's lazy, she might seem undisciplined, but at the end of the day, you've seen what she's been doing since she was a kid. Dude, her first act was 5 months in the womb. Like, don't play with it.
The next one was she went back in time to go talk to your grandpappy.
She stole your grandfather's car as a kid traveling through time. Why are you underestimating this woman? When she wears the shirt that says "Fight like a girl" on the issue 6, I was just like, yes, motherfucker, fight like a girl, because this girl is crazy. She's been telling you from day one. You get her whole. She's the only character whose entire history is told to you from literally 5 months in the womb till the moment she's about to maybe die. You've gotten every aspect of her story, but she's the one you underestimate. Come on now, like that was so stupid.
So we've talked a lot about the family. I'm just curious, like in like
I'm
10 seconds.
I'm just waiting if we can talk about Uncle Edgar because that's all I came here for. Uncle Edgar is my boy.
Well, I was gonna say there's just two characters we have to talk about. I think one we could wrap up in like 2 seconds.
You do you.
One is Albany. Albany, I just found initially I thought she was just a whiny bitch. Then she turned super sane or hyper sane, and then was still a bit of a bitch about things.
The thing about a villain is, in my eyes, and we've said this numerous times on this show and any other show we've been on, villains make stories. Albany did not make this story for me.
Not at all.
Nothing.
Not at all.
Like she was just whenever the Venetian kills someone, she just show up and kind of like. And just say some smug remarks and leave.
Yeah, it felt like I wanted. I almost wish that Albany was just the Venetian. That she had somehow split herself.
That'd be cool.
The only clue or the only thing that we see really into her past is when they have this this hotel.
Yes,
that stands. Hotel. The time hotel that literally is present in all. How do I describe this?
It's connected to all points of time.
No matter what point in time you are, if you go in there, you'll see someone from the 40s, someone from the 50s, 60s. Like you all exist at the same time, even though you're from different times.
Yeah. And you're not allowed to talk to anyone.
It's also a safe place. It's like the Hotel Artemis.
Yes.
There's no violence allowed. There's no, this is like a neutral zone for all wizards and witches and magicians or whatever it is.
Yes.
And then you see her as all the kids go to confront her and say, hey, like, let's try to work this out. We'll give you this, whatever they're trying to negotiate. And she's like, well, listen, look over there. There's my dad in the 40s. See the way he's looking at me? He's never really, like, you know, believed in me. So you kind of get a motive, like some hint of like what her motivation is. It's kind of like to prove herself. But it's still not enough. There's not enough, like, in it for me, like, at stake for her. If anything, Gabriel should have been evil the whole time.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it comes down to. Why is he following her lead?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He is the most powerful. He is the reason why things are actually working out for Madame Albany in terms of, like, killing magicians and stuff like that. So like, why is he following her?
Is it that, like, I guess, is the idea that he needed her support?
Or she's the only one that can use the incantation in the book, and he doesn't know how to.
But once again,
and Gabriel again is trying to bring his daughter back. So I guess that this is why he joined Madame Albany.
Yeah.
But you could have just talked to your sister, and I guess again his dad wouldn't do it. His dad wouldn't bring his little daughter back. So this was his only.
But he probably didn't know that the sister read the book. I feel like
no one did, right?
The dad sounded like he did. Because he's the one who said he had to trick up his...
That was the only one that did, yeah. But when I say no one did, I mean, no one but the dad, apparently, at the end there. It was all just too convenient towards the end there. Yeah. The main baddie's motivation just was not enough for me to be like, oh, okay, I see what she's trying to do here. Yeah.
When the reveal happened, though, when he was the assassin, my initial thought was like, I won't lie to you, I was really into the book, and then when he... in the 5th issue when he kills his brother, it's like, I was a Venetian. I was there, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, that was my feeling. I was like, seriously? Like, this is the dude? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then in issue 6, when you're like, so even by the time I started reading, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, so she's an escapologist, and then like she's starting to talk, like, of course she read the fucking book. And then she's like, I read the book. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like the last issue and a half, although a lot of cool elements, the art style through the whole book, in my opinion, is awesome.
Yes.
The last, of the last issue and a half, the first issue worth of reading was so predictable and so irritating. Yeah. I was happy about the end. The end was cool. And we're going to talk about who I know you want to talk about. Uncle Edgar. When they go into the...
I want us to really take a moment to appreciate Uncle Edgar.
I want his own comic book series.
I want Uncle Edgar's backstory
so badly
in ways that don't even make sense. Like, when you see Uncle Edgar, like, Uncle Edgar made me think of Superman. You know the paper bag speech for Superman?
Yeah, I can only punch you so hard, and I have to figure out how strong you are, so I don't punch you and kill you instantly.
So when Uncle Edgar comes along at the end and it's just like, do you think they put me here to protect me? No! They're protecting y'all! I'm a danger! The last time I was out, you don't even know. He's like, I just like that he's flabbergasted at the idea. Like, when he's talking to the dude, because that's the thing. So towards the end, you know, all the pieces fall into place, and you find out that the Venetian is Gabriel, and that Albany's been working, and she promised to bring my baby girl back because we killed her. And it's just like, wait, where's your wife? I thought your wife was with Uncle Edgar. No, that was my shape-shifting spy. And then they show you the shape-shifting spy at the castle, which is the secret castle where the Order meets.
In a painting. Yeah.
In a painting. And you see,
and that's where the fancy book is hidden.
Yeah, the Ori Colcum or whatever. And you see Uncle Edgar's there walking around with her, and you're just like, oh, wait, Uncle Edgar is alone with this person, and this person's like beating up Uncle Edgar, and he's just like, don't worry, I took care of it. And you're just like, man, this shit's
Uncle Edgar.
Yeah, I was just like, I actually felt bad for Uncle Edgar at first.
They didn't put me in here to protect me. They put me in here to protect the world for me.
Yeah.
Last time I was out, I killed 1 million people. You're like, shit.
Yes.
Like, yo, that was one stroke. Like, in my head, I'm like, one stroke, or you just decided to kill 1 million? Like, I was so curious.
Uncle Edgar is a bad man, and they all need to understand that you don't fuck with a bad man. Like, the fact that Uncle Edgar is
he more powerful than is he more powerful than Gabriel?
That's the thing. Uncle Edgar seems like he's more powerful than everyone. That's why I don't understand why they kept his ass in the fucking thing. If you are being hunted and you have this guy, but I understand why they kept him there.
It's because he's there to protect the book. He can't control his power. It sounds like once he starts going, he's like a berserk
But
back in the day, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's why you leave him to protect the book, because you're like, okay, the last line of defense is essentially our Hulk. Like, we're gonna put you here, Bruce Banner, but you know, we're gonna hope that we never have to let you unleash the Hulk. But if someone comes through that door, by all means, unleash the Hulk and destroy everything. Just make sure no one touches the book. And that's what Uncle Edgar is. And that's the crazy part to me, because Uncle Edgar seemed like such an innocent little old man who seems so sad about his little life, and then you see him and you're just like, god damn.
That was way more impressive than just what's her name resurrecting everyone, and then just, oh, you needed to have a body for every person you resurrect. We're like, oh, we're 6, you're 6 bad guys, we'll just kill you. I'm like, really all right.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I definitely see the potential.
Oh, sorry.
In all this.
Sorry, this is the thing I wanted to read. Uncle Edgar's Why Egypt is a Desert. Uncle Egypt's Why There Are Half the Stars There Used to Be. Motherfucker, when you drop lines like that, like, see, so this whole comic, to me, this whole last issue, I was so upset. Then when he gave me that one line, I was just like, damn you, Millar, you still got
you brought me back.
I want to know, you want to know why and where, and this is, again, this is the overarching theme that we keep coming back to, is that the most important characters just did not get enough of story.
Yeah.
But one thing,
and I want Uncle Edgar's own arc.
He did confirm that there's a sequel. He's writing a sequel to the Magic Order.
I want a prequel. I want an Uncle Edgar killing, turning Egypt to sand and destroying half the stars. Can you? Yo, sorry, I get goosebumps when I think about how powerful this motherfucker is.
But the thing is this, like, you know, we talked about how there's certain things in this book that we didn't like. However, is this based off of our reactions right now? Did he not do the best job of creating a teaser prequel, like to what he wants to do?
Yeah, I'm
so
upset
at the end, you're like. It bugs me, but it bugs me in a good way, because at the end of the day, if the plan is to give me more of this, that's what I want.
I mean, that's it, right? The elevator pitch at the end, I was just like, write a really great story, and then at the end, drop it off a cliff so that I have to come back again. Yes.
And yeah.
Like, that's what he did. I can't even be mad. It's like, I'm mad, but at the same time, I can't be mad, because this is a business. You are selling comic books. The comic book industry is dying, and you've figured out a way to write a comic book and team up with one of the biggest companies in the world. And now I am desperately waiting for you to continue this universe, because I want to know, A, what happens to Uncle Edgar. I want to know what happens to Cordelia next. Like, I don't know if you're going to splinter these off into separate stories, or if you're going to focus on one. But
daughter.
So everyone was supposed to share. Remember how they found the secret lair for where Madame Albany was, like the theater, the Charleston whatever theater.
After they tortured that,
and then they're supposed to each, in order to get in, you have to share your most painful memory. Cordelia says her most painful one was when her dad sat her down to tell her their mom was leaving. Gabriel was like, burying my little daughter, and then the cannon fodder, their other brother. His most painful memory was getting caught jerking off to Saved by the Bell. I was like by his mom, and what was it? I don't want to say who I was jerking off to, but I guess mom didn't ask. I'm like, how is that your most painful memory?
I mean, he's
not burying like all these people that died.
He's led a good life. If your most painful
privileged
memory,
life,
if your most painful memory is mom catching you jerking off to Slater, well, that's
hey, it could have been Zach.
Sure, I mean, whatever.
No, what's the Urkel guy on the show?
Oh, Screech. Gabriel's jerking off to Screech. Then I understand that. See, him jerking off to Screech is a legit painful memory, and that makes sense.
Well, we all know it's more than likely either Zachary
or the principal. You never know.
Oh my god. I'm not even shaming people's taste, but goddamn, if you're a teenage boy and Belding was your time, you have some daddy issues, boy. That is interesting. Terrible. That is some daddy issues.
Well, I think we summed up without giving everything away. I think we summed it up. Pretty well.
Yeah. I think there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I just can't remember now.
I don't know if you wanted to. I don't know if you wanted to talk about the, like, quote unquote self-sacrifice scene, but. That self-sacrifice where, because we said at the end, Gabriel the Venetian, like the spell to bring people back from the dead, you have to sacrifice someone.
Yourself.
No, somebody.
Someone, yeah.
So here's the thing also, in The Order, the Netflix show, it's confusing to me why Netflix did this, because they're taking so many aspects. Now that I read this, I'm like, they took so many aspects from this and put it in a TV show. So one thing that's common in the show is every magic has a price.
Yeah,
So
of course.
the bigger the magic, the more. So usually, if you just cut yourself and a little drop of blood before you do a spell, that's usually enough.
Yeah.
But the bigger magic, like bringing someone back from the dead or getting the most powerful book and being the most powerful wizard,
Yeah.
require you to sacrifice somebody close to you or somebody who means that much more. So yeah,
Yeah,
these are all
Infinity,
elements
like
of this.
Stone Souls, Stone Gem style, like all that.
Yeah.
And that's a theme throughout all stories, right? The biggest sacrifice reaps the biggest reward.
Right.
But the thing that, and that's why at the end of this one, you know, I don't feel bad for Gabriel, but I do feel bad for Gabriel because the biggest reward was bringing his daughter back. But the biggest
to be with her mother,
Who she
because
can't.
she was part of the whole thing. They decided, screw her, we're gonna trap her in a book. By the way, trapping someone in a book,
Yeah,
It's
dark.
so
probably one of
dope.
the worst tortures you can probably like endure.
Yeah,
Like I'm trapped in this book's story forever.
yeah, you're just gonna live that life. But
But I find that very cool. I found that stuff really cool.
Yeah, I will agree with you though, Dave. You were saying I want to see what happens with the daughter. I don't know if the daughter's going to be okay with the fact
That
I mean,
everything happened.
she's probably going to be sad that her dad had to sacrifice himself to bring her back, obviously. She's probably going to always feel guilty that he had to do that to bring her back because she initially killed herself, technically, with the wand. Because she's not going to see it as her dad left the wand in a place that she shouldn't
gonna
have
see
been.
it, too.
Even though, if you ask me, gun control laws again, you know, if you leave the gun out and the kid kills himself, that's the kid, you know, it's not the kid's fault, it's your fault. But anyways, but the mother being gone is probably what will make her is interesting. Possibly turn, probably be angry.
But if they never let her see the mother again, that's what the question is. But for me, all I see is this: the future, Edgar versus daughter. That's what because I'm expecting the daughter to be basically even stronger than her dad because of this.
Yeah.
And in which case, I'm saying it: Edgar versus I wish I knew her name, but Edgar versus daughter. So I
Edgar
see that
versus Gabriel Jr.
Yeah.
There, we can say that for now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's definitely a lot left to be desired, but overall, I think, you know, this was definitely a good read. It was a good read.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we got to get in. I mean, I don't know
do
if
we
we
have
should
time?
even have time to do our next segment because we went an hour and a half on this.
Oh, really? Well,
So-
I think we could do this in 10 minutes.
No,
if
that's
we
what I'm
really
saying.
wanted.
Like, that's going to
Oh.
make it a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
Yeah, we could skip
we
it.
might have to skip it, unfortunately, because we usually go into another segment called That's Non-Canon. It was a fun idea, but I think because of how much we talked about this
All
one,
right. We'll try and keep it for another time. If
Yeah,
if I
definitely.
can't think of one, or if we get to another magical
Yeah.
one, we have a banked one.
But I will say this: we are. I mean, we can go into our final thoughts. I feel like we've said it, but
Well, I'll just be quick. Regardless of what the things that we said, it's definitely a read.
yes,
Pick it up. Anyone who likes anything, pick it up. I don't see any restriction on anything. Don't let a kid read it
no,
because it's very,
This is-
very,
yeah, this
very,
is-
very, very vulgar.
I don't even
and there's
think-
blood and there's nudity and all sorts
There's
of that
swearing.
fun
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't even know if this was TV rated. It's definitely not PG-13.
Oh, I think it's rated R.
yeah.
To do
is
this
rated-
justice, you'd have to do it rated
Yeah.
R because of the amount of blood.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
no, in short, this is definitely a pickup read, regardless of the things that we said. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.5, to be quite honest, because the only thing that didn't make this a 5 was the pacing
Yeah.
for me. But the thing is, after all that thought to get at the things that took away from me, the pacing, the predictability at the end. However, because of the fact that at the end of the book, the only thing I kept on thinking was, I want a prequel about Edgar, and I want to continue reading these stories about all these other characters.
Yeah.
Regardless of those things that made me not like the book, I really liked it. So I'm getting a solid 4.5. I'm gonna get a 4.5. Also because everything else flowed great. The art was phenomenal. Like I just wanted more, and the dialogues were absolutely great. Like it's great. That's what I'm putting it.
Toby, what are you feeling?
Everything we talked about, everything Dave just said, 100% agree with. That score is a little too high in my opinion, based on the fact that it did leave us wanting more from what was told. I do not care for Madame Albany. Matter of fact, they did have several attempts to make her seem interesting, like her asking her shapeshifter to turn into someone she can have sex with, and he turns into her, and she has sex with herself, which, all right, cool. Nice little nice attempt at a shocker.
Right.
Yeah, narcissistic.
Narcissistic.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah, exactly. I
No,
would
still
have definitely
sadistic too.
liked.
so-
I would have definitely liked more of, you know, how they gave us a bit more of a history on Cordelia and flashbacks and how she went back in time just because she could, and you know, to see her grandfather and stuff like that, and all those little adventures that she had where
her
she
business
like,
card.
or she like, you know, trapped herself in a mental hospital sort of garb and like performed a magic trick in front of kids at the school, jumped off the roof of a building into an oil drum that explodes, and then the principal's like, oh my god, we're all going to jail. But then she appears and then she's like, nah, I'm here, like I just did a magic trick. So I would have liked that more for Gabriel, not just talking about the past that happened or seeing his daughter die, but just seeing like who he was as a kid, like to really, really understand why the loss of his daughter was that hard. Like I get losing your daughter is that hard and you do anything to bring her back, but doing something that evil, and like killing your own family,
sacrificing that many people. I mean, we're not parents, so
it's hard to judge.
That's the thing.
I don't think I wouldn't kill 5 like members of my own family to bring one person.
I know. But what if you accuse those people of the reason why she's dead? That's why I felt.
You're the reason why she's dead because you left the key.
But you're never gonna. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but you're not going to think that way.
But you're not going to put the blame on yourself. It's only
who knows if he's dead? He by definition he could come back if they continue to make this story. He could come back at any time. The daughter, for all you know, she'll be like, "Oh, hi, little baby," clunk.
Yeah. No, but I know exactly what Toby's saying. But at the same time, like the shock of the situation, it combined with other things, is probably something that led him to be like, "Well, they won't let me bring her back." It's just like, yeah, but she died in the first place because of you. Yeah, but they won't let me bring her back. Yeah, you're not listening to the beginning of my sentence. She isn't here because of what you did. But they won't let me bring her back. Oh, okay. He's not. And that's the thing. Like, in his head, it's probably the situation playing out as in, well, no one's helping me bring her back. And it's just like, yeah, but dude, it's your fault she's dead. And he's ignoring that part, and he's saying, not that we're trying to change your score or your mind, but we're just saying, like, that our perspective, like, my perspective, similar to Dave is...
Dave's in that aspect.
Yeah, he's not going to...
Yeah, I understand. No, it did feel rushed to me, very rushed, and because I like Mark Millar, I'm kind of torn in that aspect because the story, it's just a big world that I wish was more fleshed out. But I guess maybe he just had a 6-issue order and decided to put the best he could in it.
Yeah.
But based on that, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5 for an awesome read, and only taking the 1.5 away because it just wasn't the characters that should have been fleshed out weren't, and the ones that were, I didn't really care for.
3.75.
I was going to correct mine to 4 actually after having heard that, or 4.25 something.
Okay, yeah, it's a match by 3.75
because I realized I'm like 4.5 is pretty high. So no, not even to match it. I just realized after I'm like no, because one is greatness and one is not greatness. So like it's not greatness. So I go to the 4.
I'm giving it 3.75. Yeah, everything we said, it starts, and I said it at the beginning. It's one of those things where, we call them arcs because they arc, right? That's the whole point. Yep. There's a peak and then it comes down. This one felt like it was build up, and then a cliff jump. And I keep saying that because that's really how I felt when I was reading it. Everything was building up. And it's a steep build up too. It's like everything's super, super, super fast. And then we get to like issue 5 and like you said, halfway through 5, it starts to like, it peaks. And then we're just like, oh, this is what's going on. And then I felt like I just jumped off and free dived off the cliff. And I just saw the story go by as I went towards the ground. And then the story hits me with, boom, this is the end. Mom's in a book. Yeah. Kids being raised by Regan, who's been brought back from the dead. Dad's giving the keys of the empire to Sis. Edgar... I don't know. I'm not getting anything else. I saw Edgar turn into essentially a god, and then I got that door closed on me too quickly, and then the dad's dead, and that just felt abrupt.
And apparently there are 5 families.
Yeah.
Still can't get over that part.
Yeah, so I mean, 3.75. The art exceptional. I mean, it gets like I would almost give it 3 just on the art alone. But the art and the writing combined definitely really good. And I just think that at the end of the day, This did feel a little rushed. It felt like, we've said this. It felt like something that was written so that Netflix could turn it into a series. And based on what Toby's been saying, they did. They turned the order. They took the ideas. And
imagine that's like the reveal at the end of season 1 of the order. They're just like, oh, so now we're going to fast forward to now. And
yeah, I really hope that.
Well, this is kind of like witches versus werewolves. Actually, it's a different.
Okay.
It's weird.
It's completely different. Okay,
it's werewolves. Yeah. But it's actually written. I don't know if you ever saw the show Van Helsing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
the one that's on Netflix. Well, yeah, it's the same writers as Van Helsing.
Oh, because Van Helsing's on Netflix too.
Yeah, but I feel like they took inspiration from this, and I wonder what Mark Millar really. Because I looked it up to try to see if there's any link or any connections. I googled it and said there's nothing coming up for either of them being linked in any way.
I think they just got announced.
I'm the only one that's thought that.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's it. That's the whole show. I mean, this was a wild one. We went really long, but I think we've done this before. Whenever we get into something that we genuinely really like, we end up talking about them a lot. And I think that if anything, the fact that we were kind of jokingly shitting on it at the beginning
and went on for like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
proves a lot to it.
Yeah. We but once again, this is one of those reasons why we kept saying, if you guys really want to read this one before listening to this episode, we understand, because we genuinely want you guys to read this one. Actually, if anything, by the time you're listening to this, we've already posted about this episode the week before to let you know, read this one specifically before listening to this one. But that's it, guys. Anything you want to say for sign off?
Well, no, just if you want to see any of my stuff, you can go to www.square-idea.com and or follow me through Instagram at Merc_Witta. That's WITTA_mouth. And just fun stuff to find there.
Toby.
Same as usual. You can find me on Instagram at thatfitdude. Man, my latest post that I posted is breaking records, bro. It's like over.
Is that the one where you're working out shirtless to a theme? Yeah,
no,
I wonder.
That's my story.
Oh, that's in your story.
That's my story. But the latest picture I posted has my location as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Dojo.
Oh, that's fun.
And I think I have like 113 likes. This is probably my most liked photo in a very long time. So.
I'm telling you, if you change your hashtag to the Adonis, it's gonna go even higher.
That's almost more like conceited than that.
So guys, the usual stuff. Hit us up on franklinarmstrong.com. If you follow us on social media, you already know the tag at @AStrongFranklin. And all things Geektastic and That's Canon and Running with Wolves and K&M Podcast and The Morning Detour, because those are all the shows. We have 4 podcasts and 1 radio show, all available on franklinarmstrong.com. You can follow us on Facebook also. It's Franklin Armstrong, DOTCOM. Guys, that's everything. That's it. That's all. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. We'll be back with another issue soon. Peace, y'all.
Ciao.
Peace off.